Jaya Jaya Navala Kishore Jaya Gopi Chitachora Prabhu Jaya Jaya Makhana Chore Jaya Jaya Makhana Chore Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. उपस्थित भगवत कथा अनुरागी पधारे हुए भक्त वृंद, इस सभा को परम सुशोभित करने वाले,
and heartfelt greetings and welcome to all the senior Vaishnavas of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. I also welcome all the devotees who join us on YouTube and Facebook, and I also extend my heartfelt gratitude and welcome to all the devotees who join here in all the different time zones on Zoom platform. My special welcome to the host family who have organized this 316th Bhagvat Katha from Sydney, Australia. Shri Shyamanand Sharma Prabhu, Madhvi Mataji, Keshav Prabhu, Nitai Prabhu, and Vrinda. I also want that each one of you must be aware that this katha has been organized in the loving memory of a young member of this family who has left this body very recently. So I welcome each one of you to the 4th day katha of this 316th Bhagvat Katha. Hare Krishna, Radhe Shyam.
एक बार हार्दिक स्वागत एवं आप सबके चरणों में हमारा प्रणाम। राधे श्याम। सदा सेव्या श्रीमद् भागवती कथा, क्योंकि यस्य श्रवण मात्रेण हरिश्चित्तम समाश्रयेत। बहुत सुंदर श्री वेदव्यास मुनि ने लिखा है।
Shri Vedvyas Muni has very beautifully written, and the shloka is there before you on your screens. So let us first understand what is the meaning of Sada Sevya, Sada Sevya. Always serve, and continuously engage yourself in serving. But if I say that, many of you would say that we all are engaged in serving, then why are you telling us this? So you see, what you need to understand is there's not even a single individual in this world who is not engaged in giving service. The qualities of nature is such that every individual are involved in performing their karma, and in discharging their duties as karma, they are rendering service. And here we are not just talking about humans, but we are talking about all living entities. Even those living entities as different animals are also engaged in rendering service. So if you see amongst ourselves, some of us are engaged in rendering service towards the physical body. Some others are engaged in rendering service towards wife and children, while some others are engaged in rendering service to the family. So, for example, you see, some people are engaged in rendering service to the belly, some deliver service to the country, while some render service to the society. It has also been observed in the animal world that even the birds and animals are engaged in discharging their duties and responsibilities to serve their offsprings. So you see, this is an inherent nature of the soul that it is always, that it is constantly engaged in rendering service. So everyone usually is engaged in rendering service, but the only problem being that the service that you should be rendering should be towards whom? That is a misplaced notion. So Ved Vyasji also says in the shloka that rendering service is very much an inherent nature of the soul, but then who should you render your service for is something that you must think about. So the first line goes on to say, Sada Sevya, Shrimad Bhagavati Katha, that you should render service towards Shrimad Bhagavatam. So some of you might say that so far we have heard from people that one should render service towards the Lord. But what you are saying is we must render service towards Shrimad Bhagavatam. Now this is something beyond our comprehension. But dear devotees, see interestingly here, Ved Vyasji is not asking us to render our services towards the Lord, but he is asking us to render services towards Srimad Bhagavatam. So basically in this shloka, we get to consider two entities, Lord and Srimad Bhagavatam. So if a question arises, what is better, rendering service towards the Lord or rendering service towards Srimad Bhagavatam? So Ved Vyasji goes on to say, undoubtedly, rendering services towards the Lord is the best service, but even more than rendering the service towards the Lord is better placed the service towards Srimad Bhagavatam. So if you render service towards the Lord and that you render service towards Srimad Bhagavatam, rendering service towards Srimad Bhagavatam is better placed. I can recall instantly that when Srila Prabhupada had set for America from India, he had a suitcase, he had a briefcase with him where he had some pair of dhotis and kurtas, and the entire world is aware of this. And the entire world is aware what did Srila Prabhupada had kept in that briefcase. Srila Prabhupada had kept Shrimad Bhagavatam in his briefcase. Had Srila Prabhupada wanted, he could have placed deities, Ladu Gopal, etc. in his briefcase, but he had kept only Srimad Bhagavatam. So you should ponder over this. Srila Prabhupada could have kept the deities as well. Any Vigraha he could have placed in his briefcase, but when he left for America, he only kept Srimad Bhagavatam with him. And what would have been the reason behind this? Because something which should be served at, something which can be considered more worthy of being served is Srimad Bhagavatam more than the Lord himself. And what would happen if one goes on to serve Srimad Bhagavatam? Ved Vyasji goes on to explain in the next line that merely hearing at Shrimad Bhagavatam. If an individual goes on to listen Shrimad Bhagavatam, then through this process, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is going to reside in our heart. Samashriyate means in complete form. Permanently, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will come and reside in our hearts if we go on to listen to Shrimad Bhagavatam. So, in this way, Srila Prabhupada and Vedvyasji went on to consider serving Shrimad Bhagavatam is very high a service. And Srila Prabhupada had in fact proven it practically as well. Now, the question that surfaces here is how do we serve Shrimad Bhagavatam? So, there can be four types of services towards Shrimad Bhagavatam, and that they are placed one above the other. You see, comparatively, they are placed in a ascending order. The fourth and the low category, in a basic category of services towards Srimad Bhagavatam, is what I'm going to now share with you. So we have understood more than the service towards the Lord is greater places, highly placed the service towards Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the service towards Srimad Bhagavatam, there are four categories. And at the base being the service, what I'm going to explain you now, which has already been answered by Ved Vyasji. The fourth category of service towards Srimad Bhagavatam is listening, is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So the basic category of service towards Srimad Bhagavatam is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, listening Srimad Bhagavatam, lending ears to Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, I'm very confident some of you have been very, very happy to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam, that you have been rendering the basic category of service, while some others might have been disappointed that, oh, I have been engaged for 2 years in basic category service. So let us now consider the next level of service. Mind you, even the basic level service is very great a service because not everyone can go on to listen. Not everyone can render this service. You see, once I was flying, I had a conversation with someone, where this person was sharing that, when he was traveling. In fact, I'll share my own example with you. I was traveling, and one person asked me, what do I do? And he asked me what I was doing. I said, I deliver Bhagavatam. Then this person said, oh, your life is really great. Then I told him, how much do you earn? To which he answered, 25,000. Then I told him, I give you 25,000. Why don't you take up my profession for a month? And he had no answer. You see, this is not an easy job. It is not an easy job. It's not an easy task to sit at a place and listen to Shrimad Bhagavatam for 3 hours. It is not a job of everyone. So in that case, you see, hearing Bhagavatam is certainly a great service which not everyone can render. So this is one of the basic service. So I'm confident each one of you want to move ahead and progress yourself. This has been mentioned in the first canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam. The next level of service, which is number 3, So listening to Shrimad Bhagavatam is the basic level of service, which is at level 4. Level 3 service is organizing Shrimad Bhagavatam, hosting Shrimad Bhagavatam. So you see, you go on to organize Bhagvat Katha, where a Vyas could come and speak Shrimad Bhagavatam, narrate Shrimad Bhagavatam, where some devotees could come and listen Shrimad Bhagavatam. So this is the next level of service towards Shrimad Bhagavatam. Now it might happen those who are hosts, those who are the organizers, might not be able to listen to Shrimad Bhagavad Katha. No, this is now possible in an online katha, but physical organization of the katha, most of the time, the host and the organizers are not able to listen to the katha. So sometimes it might happen that the host might not be able to listen to the katha, but the fact that he's organized the katha, you see, he's rendering a next level of service towards Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is the reason once I mentioned that certain thing you must do in your lifetime, Braj Mandal Parikrama, Gaur Seva, and organizing Shrimad Bhagvat Katha. So Gaur Seva, Braj Mandal Parikrama, and organizing Bhagvat Katha, these are certain things that you must surely do in your lifetime.
So ये है ऊपर की सेवा. अब इसके प्रमाण में कौन?
Now, if I need to illustrate it from Shastras, you see, Lord Krishna, for almost 128.5 years, he performed his pastimes here on the earth, and then he left for his own abode. So when he had left, the wives of Sri Krishna felt very demotivated and were disheartened. Those 16,108 wives and queens of Sri Krishna, they were bewildered. What do we do? So one amongst them was Kalindi, which is Yamuna Maya, Yamuna Maharani. So Yamuna Maharani said that I have a solution to offer to each one of us. If we are missing Sri Krishna, and if we want to experience the presence of Krishna around us, then what has been done by gopis is what we must do. And what did the gopis do? You see, Krishna Katha offers nectar to the Krishna devotees. So Yamuna Maya said, we all must listen to Krishna Katha. And at that time, Sri Parikshit Maharaj was on this earth. And Parikshit Maharaj was asked that, requested rather, to organize Shrimad Bhagvat Katha. So all 16,118 queens of Sri Krishna was taken by Parikshit Maharaj to Brij Vrindavan at the foothills of Govardhan. And we have Kusum Sarovar and Uddhav Kund, where Uddhav ji is still present even to this day. So the queens of Sri Krishna called upon Uddhav ji, and Uddhav ji is still present over there. And Uddhav ji now said, now Uddhav ji started saying Shrimad Bhagvat Katha. So Uddhav ji is sitting on Vyaspeed, and 16,108 queens of Sri Krishna started listening to Shrimad Bhagvat Katha, and even Parikshit Maharaj sat to listen to Katha. Uddhav Maharaj said, "Oh Parikshit, if you would sit around, neither I would be able to say the Katha properly, nor the 16,108 queens would be able to listen properly. You should rather go on to organize the meals and see that there is no violent activity on the listeners, there is no attack on enemy. So, O Parikshit, let me be able to narrate the katha and the queens be able to listen. You go and try to make other arrangements. But Parikshit Maharaj insisted on listening to the katha, and that is the time when Uddhavji said that more than listening to the katha is a greater service to organize the katha. So, O Parikshit, must you go and organize the katha, make arrangements and preparations for the katha? He is rendering a greater service than listening to the katha. Because the one who organizes the katha, the one who makes preparations for others to listen to the katha, in the last times, Lord will arrange, his own messengers to go and organize katha for such a person. And see, that's what happened. Sukhdev ji came to narrate the Bhagavad Katha for Shri Parikshit Maharaj. So in the last days of Shri Parikshit Maharaj, that is how Shri Sukhdev Goswami arrived. And you see, this becomes a responsibility of the Lord to arrange for such Bhagavats for his devotees who have organized Bhagavad Katha. He would create certain conditions for sure. And that is the reason Sada Sevya, Shrimad Bhagavati Katha, render service to Shrimad Bhagavatam.
ओके, तो फोर्थ कैटेगरी हो गई भागवत सुनना.
So we have understood the basic category and the next level at the level 3. Now, let us understand the next level of service further, which is level 2.
भागवत की सेवा और उसके ऊपर के स्टेप में यदि हम जाए तो भागवत सुनना, भागवत का आयोजन करना.
So we've understood listening to Bhagavad, organizing Bhagavad, and the third level of service is speaking, narrating Shrimad Bhagavad.
ये उससे भी ऊपर की सेवा है.
So this is further next level of service.
बोलने के लिए बंदे को बोलना है तो पढ़ना पड़ेगा.
Because if a person is required to narrate, he is supposed to read and listen. He has to concentrate his mind and heart in Shrimad Bhagavatam. So this is the next level of service further, that is level 2. So you see, as I speak the different level of services towards Shrimad Bhagavatam, you are required to look at where would you fit yourself in. But here you must remember one particular point. This Bhagavat, whatever I am narrating, is a service. So narrating Bhagavat is a service. And that is the reason when Amit Narayan Prabhu and others make a flyer. So they used to write Bhagvat Kathakar or Bhagvat Katha Vyas LalGovindDas. So it so happened once I saw the flyer, because I'm not a Bhagavad Kathakar, neither I'm a Vyas nor a speaker. I'm only a servicer. So what they must write is Bhagavad Sevak LalGovindDas, because you're doing the seva by listening to the Katha. Shyamanand Prabhu is doing the seva by organizing, and we are doing the service by speaking Shrimad Bhagavatam. So 3 categories we have already done. Now, the next and the foremost level of service towards Shrimad Bhagavatam, the first category, level 1 service of Shrimad Bhagavatam is
भागवत बोल देना ये बहुत बड़ी सेवा है, लेकिन सेकंड क्लास की, फर्स्ट क्लास की सेवा क्या है कि भागवत ऐसे लोगों के सामने बोलना कि वो भी भागवत बोलने लगे, वो भी भागवत हो जाए, वो भी कथा करने लगे.
The first level of service, level 1 service towards Shrimad Bhagavatam is narrating Bhagavad, studying Bhagavatam in such a way that others also get interested and inclined to start speaking and narrating Shrimad Bhagavatam. They start preaching throughout the world. And this is what Srila Prabhupada did. Though Srila Prabhupada engaged in all the four levels of services, he used to sit at the lotus feet of Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Swami, and he listened to Shrimad Bhagavatam, and he created Iskcon like organization and organized Bhagvat Katha and roamed throughout the world and delivered and narrated Shrimad Bhagavatam Katha. And the best level of service that Srila Prabhupada did was that by way of his principles, purity, he went on to give birth to Bhagavats. He created preachers throughout the world. So you see why I am sharing all this, that we must not remain in illusion that we are offering best level of services. Whatever category that you might be placed in, the fact is we are all making a move. We are making progressive move towards Srimad Bhagavatam services. We are better placed than those who are not engaged at all. So I make an appeal that you must listen to Srimad Bhagavatam constantly, and you must have this thought that when you listen the katha, you should listen with greater attention, that you would be able to narrate to others. And as you have this mood that you should be able to narrate it to others, you should try to narrate it in a way that that person who listens to us would be able to narrate it to someone else further. And if you engage in this kind of service, you would progressively be able to deliver high level of the services towards Shrimad Bhagavatam. So you see, someday your physical body might not support you, but then those whom you have prepared to narrate Bhagavatam would be able to deliver Bhagavat to others. So in this way, again, you're rendering service to Shrimad Bhagavatam. And hence I say Sada Sevya Shrimad Bhagavati Katha Yasya Shava Matrin Harishchitam Samashriyate. So merely listening to Shrimad Bhagavatam Katha, Lord Shri Hari comes and resides in our hearts permanently. So you all are listening to Shrimad Bhagavatam Katha. So you see, it is the mercy and blessings of Shrimad Bhagavatam Katha. Otherwise, we all had been engaged in our own lives, some before TV, some at restaurants, some here and there. But all thanks to Srila Prabhupada, who went on to distribute Shrimad Bhagavatam to every nook and corner of the world. So we are listening to the glory of Tulsi Maharani in this session. So there are many things here, and as things emerge, I shall share with you. So Tulsi Maharani is in the form of a plant, and Tulsi Maharani is also in the form of a Vigraha, whom we call as Vrinda Devi. So, for example, River Ganga is a river, but it is also in the form of a young girl. And for example, wind is in the form of air, but also in the form of uh, demigod, which is called as Pavan Dev. So Devi Tulsi is in the form of a young girl, Vrinda Devi. So we might have a query here, we might have a question here. If there is a Vigraha Roop of Tulsi Maharani, which is Vrinda Devi, then how does it look like? So what is the nature of Krishna? Like dark complexion, he wears yellow, wears peacock feather. So there is a query which might emerge in our heart, that how does Tulsi Maharani look like?
तुलसी जी वृंदे देवी का रूप
Vrinde Devi, how does she look like?
इसके लिए हमें जाना पड़ेगा
What is her
श्री
form?
रूप गोस्वामी की शरण
So
में
for understanding this, we need to
श्री रूप
take shelter
गोस्वामी
to Sri Rup Goswami.
राधा कृष्ण गणोदेश दीपिका एक बहुत सुंदर ग्रंथ है
Radha Krishna Garudesh Deepika
जिनमें राधा और
is the
कृष्ण
work
के
of
जितने
Sri
भी
Rup
परिकर हैं
Goswami.
राधा कृष्ण के जितने भी
So in this work, whosoever are the associates, members of the pastimes of Sri Krishna, Sri Rup Goswami has written elaborately about them.
तो तुलसी जी का स्वरूप कैसा है श्रीपाद रूप गोस्वामी
So Sripad Rup Goswami writes in the shloka and presents the form of Vrinde Devi. So the shloka is there before you on your screens, where Rup Goswami goes on to describe the form and the appearance of Vrinde Devi.
वृंदा कांति मनोहरा नीलवस्त्र परिधाना मुक्ता पुष्प विराजिता मुक्ता पुष्प विराजिता हमारा गौड़ीय सिद्धांत और ये ब्रह्म मध्व गौड़ीय धारा अद्भुत है भक्तों इस संप्रदाय में भगवान की लीला उनके सिद्धांतों को जितनी सूक्ष्म दृष्टि से समझाया गया प्रस्तुत किया गया और कहीं जगह पर मुझे नाम नहीं लेना है लेकिन आज भी हमारे भारत में कई सारे ऐसे मंदिर हैं जहां भगवान के स्वरूप को बिठाए हैं हम पूछे कि इस भगवान के रूप का स्वरूप का वर्णन किस ग्रंथ में लिखा है किस शास्त्र में लिखा है बस मनमाने ढंग से कोई रूप कोई स्वरूप बना देना और फिर हजारों लाखों लोग उसे पूजना और पूजवाना किसी भी वस्तु का प्रमाण और आधार होना चाहिए आज जब हम तुलसी देवी के विषय में श्रवण कर रहे हैं और उस वृंदे देवी के विषय में सुन रहे हैं तो उनका आधार है प्रमाण है अब देखिए ये श्लोक राधा कृष्ण गणोदेश दीपिका
Dear devotees, you see our Gaudiya principles are such refinedly placed that they mention everything in detail with a lot of illustrations. Unfortunately, and I should not take the names, there are many sects which are prevalent who go on to describe things as per their own understanding and also expect others to worship in that form. But whatever we study and understand here in Gaudiya Parampara, we do it with the help of illustrations. So that is what Sri Rup Goswami goes on to explain, that Vrinda Devi is having the complexion of the gold and her appearance is heart stealing. And what kinds of clothes or what colored clothes does Tulsi Maharani wear? Then Rup Goswami says that she wears blue colored clothes. So Vrinda Devi generally wears blue colored clothes.
और मुक्त पुष्प विराजिता और वृंदे देवी अपने साथ मुक्ता मणि और
And
प्रकार के पुष्प साथ में
Vrinda Devi carries along with her Mukta Mani and other different types of flowers. Further, there's a lot of description about Vrinda Devi in our Shastras. So, she is yellow complexion or golden complexion, wears blue sari. There's a beautiful pearl in her nose ring. And she has a mild smile on her face. And on her left hand, and Vrinda Devi through her left hand bestows boons to her devotees, and through her right hand there is a bird in her hand, and that is parrot. And what is the name of that parrot? You see, our acharyas have been so great. So they have mentioned the name of this parrot as Daksh, and that parrot is yellow colored. And the parrot actually is a guru. The parrot of Vrinde Devi is actually a guru, and it is a guru of 1000 parrots in Vrindavan. So you see, the pet parrot of Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi, which is Daksh, is the guru of 1000 parrots of Brij Vrindavan. So the work, the task of Vrinda Devi is to manage the pastime of Sri Radha and Sri Krishna. And how would she manage? So the parrot that she has in her right hand, she goes on to order the parrot and asks, what is the situation of parrot? So as the parrot speaks, parrot Daksh speaks, numerous parrots appear and that they go on to spread in numerous directions. And within 10 to 15 minutes, they go on to study the situation. Perhaps, maybe it is not there with Google, but it is there with Google. So all the ground information report comes to Vrinde Devi through the parrot Daksh and his team. And one of the disciple of Daksh parrot, which is yellow in complexion, but the disciples of this yellow-skinned Daksh parrot are of different color, yellow, green, orange. You know, one special thing that I found over here, Rup Goswami went on to mention in his text that who are the Sakhas of Krishna? And then he gave the entire list of all the Sakhas and Gop of Sri Krishna. And then Rup Goswami goes on to mention the Sakhis and friends of Srimati Radharani line by line and then their introduction. But once the entire text was studied, I found that the name of Vrinda Devi is found both in the list of Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna also. And there's not any other name which has been found twice in either of the lists. Vrinda Devi is the only one who is there as a friend to both, to Sri Krishna and Radharani. You see, when we were young, we used to play the game, and somebody who used to be a part of both the parties, we used to call him Raw Lemon. So Vrinda Devi plays in both the parties. So Vrinda Vrindarika Mela. So who all are the friends of Tulsi Devi, Sakhis of Tulsi Devi? So the answer is Vrinda, Mela, Dutika. So these are the names: Vrinda, Vrindarika, Mela, Murali. These are all the names of the friends of Tulsi Devi. So if asked what all these friends do, the answer is these friends of Tulsi Devi, Vrinda, Vrindarika, Mela, Murli, Dutika, go on to prepare, decorate the Kunj where Sri Krishna and Radha shall perform their pastime. So these friends of Vrinda Devi, Vrinda, Vrindarika, Mela, Murli, Dutika, are perfect in their job of decorating the Kunj where Srimati Radharani and Krishna are going to perform their pastime. They are full of affection towards Lord Krishna and Radharani. So amongst all the friends of Srimati Radharani, who is the best one? If you see the last segment of the second line, Vrinda. So Vrinda amongst all the Sakhis of Srimati Radharani happens to be the best friend of Srimati Radharani. That is what Vrinda Tasu Variyasi says. So Radharani has numerous types of friends, they do different kinds of job, but Tulsi Maharani, Vrinde Devi happens to be the best upon amongst them. Now, Rup Goswami goes on to mention who happens to be the best, Sakhi of the Sakhis of Sri Krishna. So you see, these Sakhis goes on to provide services to Sri Krishna. So the names are Purnmasi, Veera, Vrinda. So see, third term Vrinda in the first line, Vrinda happens to be there in both the list. Vanshi, Nandimukhi, Vrindarika, Mela, Murli, Adishya Dutika. Amongst the Sakhis of Sri Krishna, who happens to be the best one? Again, Rup Goswami says, Vrinda Tasu Variyasi. So Vrinda happens to be number one amongst the Sakhis of Sakhis of Sri Krishna. So Vrinda Devi happens to be the number one friend in the list of Srimati Radharani, and so is also the case amongst the friends of Sri Krishna. So Vrinda Devi engages in strong labor and hard work. Ra- Even Vrinda Devi goes on to decide which flower will blossom in which particular pastime of Srimati Radharani, which particular word will sing, who shall dance, what particular fragrance shall be there, what particular offering shall be made, what particular sport shall be performed, what kind of music shall be there. All these decisions and arrangements are done by Vrinda Devi by herself. So every minute, every hour, all activities are decided and guided and organized by Tulsi Devi. So she's an expert in in making the union of Sri Radha and Krishna. Now you must be wondering and questioning that you people are also experts in organizing the temples. But you see, there's a difference. Vrinda Devi, despite doing all such things, remain absolutely in the last of all. She remains behind the curtain and never comes in limelight. She performs everything but never exhibits herself. So she offers humble service, selfless service, engages herself in the service towards Radha Shamsundar. And that is the very reason why she has the affection of both Sri Radharani and Sri Krishna. For example, other Sakhis, Chandravali. Chandravali is not liked by Radharani, nor Radharani likes her, but Chandravali is dear to Sri Krishna. So there's a difference amongst other Sakhis and Sakhas of Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna. But Vrinda Devi happens to be an exceptional example who is both liked by and is dear to both Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna. And that is the reason in the last session yesterday, when Parikshit Maharaj was to leave his body, he took shelter of Tulsi Maharani. This is not an ordinary thing. You see, it is the accumulated good deeds of the forefathers and your own self that you develop such pure thoughts. So Parikshit Maharaj basically developed this pure thought of going to Vrinde Devi and taking shelter to Vrinde Devi during the last times, and that is how he attained the Lord. In Shrimad Bhagavatam, there's a great glory of Shri Vrinde Devi, Shri Tulsi Maharani. So usually these stories are not often talked about, but when today we are at the shelter of Shri Tulsi Maharani, let us get into Shrimad Bhagavatam in second and third canto and try to understand the glory of Shri Tulsi Maharani. Now, if I was to ask you a question that there are 24 incarnations, what is the first incarnation? What shall be your answer? So amongst the 24 incarnations of the Lord, which is the first one? Now, some of you would say that who cares? Whatever form he wants to take, he can take. We're also happy in our lives. But you see, Sri Vedvyas Muni writes in Shrimad Bhagavatam and Shri Goswami says, and this is there on your screens before you.
भगवान श्री विष्णु के 24 अवतारों में से प्रथम अवतार है कौमारम। कौमारम चतुष्कुमार।
So the first incarnation is Kaumaram, that is Chatushkumar.
भगवान विष्णु के 24 अवतारों में
So amongst the 24 incarnations of the Lord, the first incarnation is that of Sankadik. So let us try to understand about Sankadik and we will relate it to Tulsi Maharani. Sa ev pratamam deva. So deva here means Lord Vishnu. So who happens to be the first incarnation? The Sankadik, Chatushkumar. And what did they do? And what did the Sankadik do? Chacharam. They followed the religion, the dharma of Brahmins. By being Brahmins, they pursued celibacy, strong celibacy. The Acharyas have written in their commentaries that so commentators have written that in this age of Kali Yuga, there's not even a single individual who can say that he is a brahmachari. Okay, he might be a brahmachari, but he cannot go on to claim that he's a akhanda brahmachari. So Acharyas went on to raise a question that akhanda brahmachari is being impossible. So why is it being mentioned here, brahmacharya akhanditam? It is being said here because Sankadik are nothing but the Lord. They are the incarnation of the Lord. And the Lord can follow, can pursue akhanda brahmacharya. Otherwise, the living entity cannot. They do not have the strength to follow akhanda brahmacharya. Further, it is being mentioned in the shloka, the names of four Sankadiks. Let us try to understand the names of Sanat Kumar or Chatur Kumar. So what exactly are their names? This is being mentioned in the shloka before you. Sanakam, Sanatam, Sanat Kumar. So engaging in the meditation towards Lord day in and day out, they became Muni and Rishis. So when they were born, Vedvyasji goes on to write, Brahmaji now addressed these Brahmakumar, Sankadik, oh my sons, now you go and get married and produce living entities. So just like Keshav of Sri Shyamanand Prabhu, they answered that I don't want to marry. So Sankadik replied that I don't want to get married. So Brahmaji said that, oh Sankadik, get married and create living entities. But Sankadik said that they do not have any inclination to get married. We may offer any kind of service, but we don't want to get married. And the reason that they gave was Vasudev Parayana. We have to remain dedicated to Vasudev.
देखो हमें मनुष्य जीवन मिला है, तो मनुष्य जीवन मिला है तो विवाह करना चाहिए।
You see, we all have been born as a human, so we
और
must
दूसरा एक ही ऑप्शन है,
get married. And if you don't
वासुदेव
get married,
परायणा।
is Vasudev Parayana.
एक ऑप्शन है कि वासुदेव परायण हो जाओ।
Must dedicate yourself to Vasudev.
24 घंटा एकमात्र भगवान
24
का ही
hours.
चिंतन करना।
Meditate upon the name of the Lord.
24 घंटा केवल वासुदेव वासुदेव, कृष्ण कथा, कृष्ण कीर्तन।
Every hour, every minute, every
इसको
second,
यदि भुलाते
you
चले
should
जाएं,
only have
ब्रह्मचारी बन जाओ।
Lord Krishna.
केशव
So
सैफरन मैं लेकर आऊंगा।
if you do not, if you cannot forget
365
Sri Krishna's name, then you must wear saffron.
वासुदेव हो रहा हो तो ये तो 2-3 घंटे मंजीरा और मृदंग बजाकर कहेंगे कि हम शादी करना नहीं चाहते। भाई शादी कर ले, आगे चल के माँ बाप की सेवा करने वाली कोई बहू आ जाएगी। कई बार समाज में लोग भावुक हो जाते हैं, और हमें भावुक नहीं बनना है। देखो कृष्ण भक्त बुद्धिमान होते हैं।
You see, we should not be unnecessarily emotional. We have to do things by our intelligence.
इन्होंने विवाह करने की इच्छा नहीं जताई।
So Sankadik expressed their desire not to marry because they wanted to engage in devotional service towards Vasudev.
जीवन मिला है तो मनुष्य जीवन के कर्म है।
You see, if you have got
और उनमें से
the human body, there are many debts, and amongst those debts
मिटा सकते हैं।
is the debt of our ancestors, our forefathers, and that debt can be
उतारने के लिए क्या ऑप्शन है?
nullified only by
और इस परंपरा को
producing Krishna conscious offsprings. And if you do not want to do this, then Naradji has said in Bhagvatam, then Naradji says, if you don't want to do this, you must dedicate your mind, heart, and senses towards the service of the Lord. But in case you don't want to do bhakti also, and you don't want to get married also, this is not justified. The world, the society will go for disaster. In the Varnashram Dharma, so we must follow Varnashram Dharma first. And what does Varnashrama Dharma say? Either must you get married or that you dedicate yourself 100% towards Vasudeva. So you must check and evaluate, where do you stand? Can you study 24 hours Shrimad Bhagavatam? Can you chant the holy name of the Lord 24 hours? Can you chant the name of the Lord all the times? If this is the case, then certainly you should not get married. And because if you will get married in such a case, then that girl will become frustrated. You see? So even if you are not engaged in devotion and that you're not dedicated towards getting married, then you are placed nowhere. So you see, you must ponder and cross-check, where do you stand. Now, the point that we want to discuss. So Sankadika are completely dedicated to Vasudeva. So you see, when Sankadik were born, basically they were not devotees. It was not that they were devotees by birth. Basically, what had happened, no doubt that they became great devotees in the times to come, but they were not devotees since birth. So when even the Guru of Vyasji, Narad Muni, when he got confused, his confusion was actually absolved by Sankadik. Naradji had organized first Bhagavatam of the world by Sankadik. So these Sankadik, which had gone on to become very high level of devotees over a period of time, but that they were not devotees since their birth. So amongst the 12 Mahajans, one of them is Sankadik. So when did they become Mahajan? They were actually Brahmavadi from their birth. They were moving in wrong direction. Their popularity and fame happened only because of the blessings and mercy of Tulsi Maharani. Had Tulsi Maharani not been blissful and merciful, Sankadik would not have become what they have become. Now listen to the Katha of Bhagavatam. Now let us try to understand how, by the blessings and mercy of Sri Tulsi Maharani, that Sankadik, who used to meditate upon formless, and how that they became the devotees of Krishna, and what did they achieve only by way of blessings of Srimati Vrinde Devi. So Bhagavatam goes on to say, so these Sankadik had told to Brahmaji that they don't want to get married. Now, after having said that, what did they do? They were meditating upon formless Brahma. So once it so happened, let us try to understand by way of shloka. So once upon a time, it so happened that so ta ekda means once upon a time, these Sankadik,
एक दिन इन चारों के मन में हुआ कि चलो ना हम वैकुंठ में थोड़ा चक्कर मार के आए।
Sankadik got a thought that they must once go and see Vaikunt. So you see, they were all powerful, all capable, because they were the sons of Brahma. So all the four Sankadik got a thought to visit Vaikunt. And Shukdev Goswami writes that traversing through different lokas, they reached Vaikunt. So they are kids of 5 years of age.
ययु पहुंचे कहां? वैकुंठ निलयम, वैकुंठ लोक में पहुंच गए।
So these Sankadik reached Vaikuntha Lok. So Sukadevji goes on to write what Vaikuntha looks like. He describes it. So Sukadevji writes Vaikuntha, which is best of all the lokas. So these four Sankadik went on to reach Vaikuntha. Now, after having reached Vaikuntha, now they reached the lok, they reached Vaikuntha where all the men stay in the form of Vishnu. So they've reached Vaikuntha where Vishnu is providing all comfort to his devotees. They reached Vaikuntha where there is a tree which turns all the desires come true merely with the thought. So they reach the Vaikuntha where the Gandharv and the females are continuously engaged in narrating the pastimes of the Lord, the pastimes which have the potency to kill all the sins. Not just the people, but even the birds, the insects, everyone is engaged in narrating the pastimes of the Lord. And the moment they reached Vaikuntha, they got to experience a very pleasing fragrance. So they reached the Vaikuntha where Lord is decorated by way of Tulsi Maharani's ornaments. So let us understand the description of Vaikuntha. So Mandar, which is the name of flower, Kund, Kurab, Utpal, Champa, Arn, Unnag, Nag. Nag means kesar, saffron, Bakul, Ambuj, Kamal. All these flowers are there in Vaikuntha, but all these flowers respect Tulsi Maharani, and all of them take desire, have a desire that their next birth should be in the form of Tulsi Maharani. Why? So why these flowers have a desire to be born as Tulsi Maharani? Because despite all such flowers, but none of the flower is offered at the lotus feet of the Lord. Only Tulsi Maharani's leaves and flower are offered at the lotus feet of the Lord. So all these flowers contemplate that what great meditation Tulsi Maharani might have done, that she is always offered at the lotus feet of the Lord. So you see, reaching Lord in Vaikuntha, there are 7 doors that one must pass through. Now imagine these 4 boys went on to traverse through the 7 doors and reached Vaikuntha. So now, as they reached the last door, you know, as they were passing through the 7th door towards Lord, you see, there were 2 doorkeepers called Jai and Vijay. So as these 4 boys were to take an entry into the 7th door, Jai and Vijay shouted at them to run away, but the children said that they have to get in. Jai Vijay caught hold of them. Now there was an argument between the 4 boys and Jai Vijay as the doorkeepers. Now imagine at this point of time, the 4 boys are not devotees to the Lord. These were Brahmavadis. Now these 4 boys developed anger, and in anger, they said to Jai Vijay that you're stopping us from reaching the Lord. You're doing the act of a demon. So we hurl a curse at you that you should become demons. Now, the fact that these 4 boys went on to hurl curse at Jai Vijay, you see, that means they cannot be called devotees. So the fact that Sankadik developed anger means that they were not devotees, and they hurled the curse at Jai and Vijay. And the moment they hurled the curse, and Lord arrived. So as the Lord Vishnu came, Jai Vijay came at the lotus feet of the Lord that we are serving the Lord, but these 4 boys have given us the curse. So Lord Vishnu said, if you will get in devotion, maybe after 5 births, but if you develop enmity against me in 3 births, you will attain me. So Jai Vijay agreed for 3 births. That is how Hiranyaksh, Ravan, Kans, Dantvakra. So Lord Vishnu went on to give them the deliverance. Now these 4 boys developed the thought that because Jaya Vijay had stopped them, so they don't want to stay over there, and they wanted to move out.
जब भगवान विष्णु बाहर आए, इनके मन में बड़ा क्रोध था, इनको अब वापस ही लौटना था, तो भटक रहे थे। लेकिन क्या हुआ? तस्य
As
अरविंद
Lord Vishnu
पदारविंद,
came out towards the door,
भगवान विष्णु जब अंदर से बाहर आए,
and as he came from inside towards the door,
किंजलक मिश्र तुलसी मकरंद वायु, उस भगवान विष्णु के
at
चरणों में
the foot impression
लगी हुई थी।
at the foot
चंदन ऐसे ले,
of Sri Vishnu, there was tulsi and chandan which was applied.
अब देखिए एग्जैक्टली बहुत तुलसी की बहुत बड़ी महिमा है। तो तस्यार विंदस्य पदार विंद किंजलक मिश्र तुलसी मकरंद वायु। अब ये चारों तो मूड बना चुके, छोड़ो भाई यहाँ
Now, the four Sankhadik have already set their mind on
वापस लौट,
to move away,
लेकिन भगवान के
but
चरणों
as
में
they
से
saw Lord
हवा
Vishnu
आई और वह
coming
हवा
from inside towards the seventh door,
उस चंदन को स्पर्श
so
करके
the breeze flew from the lotus feet of the Lord, and this fragrance of chandan, sandal, and Tulsi Maharani
नाक में चली गई
touched into the nostrils and entered into the nostrils of
गया, मतलब
the four Sankadik.
हो गए। कहते संगोप भक्ष
Once again, their mind and heart became pure.
झंझनाटी हो गई, उनका चित्त पूर्ण रूप से भगवान में आसक्त हो गया।
Their mind and heart got fixed
निराकारवादी,
on to the Lord.
जिनको भगवान से कोई
Imagine
लेना नहीं है,
Nirakarvadi, Brahmavadi.
को सूंघने से सबसे पहले तो ये लोग का जो दिमाग हिल गया था, उनका क्रोध शांत हो गया। मैं आपसे ये कहना चाहता हूँ,
The point that I want to get across is
क्रोध बहुत होता है, तुलसी की गंध से एक तो क्रोध कम हो जाए।
that the fragrance of Tulsi Maharani goes on to reduce your anger.
तो ये चारों कुमारों का भगवान के चरणों से वो तुलसी की गंध सूंघने से एक तो क्रोध शांत हो गया।
So you see,
गंध सूंघने
tasting the fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord, their anger became diluted, and also they became devotees.
मंगला आरती में
Now,
भगवान
if ever
वो
you
सुगंध
visit
लगाई जाती है, फिर भक्तों
Iskcon in Mangala Aarti, there is a fragrance offered to the Lord, and this fragrance is
जो नए नए
made to be sensed
राजपाट
and
में
smelt
ऐसे 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 सूंघते हैं,
by the devotees.
ये है, ये भगवान के चरणों में चढ़ी हुई गंध है।
So basically, this is the fragrance at the lotus feet of the Lord.
क्रोध कम हो
Mind and heart gets purified, and anger gets reduced.
जो हाथों में वो बेनी डाल के वो सूंघते हैं और फिर नाचते हैं, गाते हैं, ये वो नहीं है, ये एक्चुअली ये भक्त बनाने की प्रोसेस है। ये श्रील प्रभुपाद जी ने यहाँ से इसी लीला से शुरू की थी।
Srila Prabhupada started this practice from the shloka only.
की वो तुलसी की सुगंध से क्रोध समाप्त हो गया और ये
So the fragrance of Tulsi
इतने बड़े भक्त बन
diluted their anger, and they became devotees.
बिल्कुल पलटी मार दिए और अब
They made a complete U-turn and they became devotees.
अब भगवान का गुणगान करने लगे।
Now they started glorifying
आप कभी
the
भागवत
pastimes of the Lord,
वाले श्लोक में क्या स्तुति करने लगे हैं।
and see what kind of offering prayer they made to the Lord. And the prayer goes something like this, which is there on the screens before you.
यपिते प्रसादम किं वन्यदर्पित भयं ब्रुव उन्नतेस्ते ये अंगत्वंगंग्रिशरणा भवत कथाया कीर्तन्त्य तीर्थ यशस कुशलारसत्या। सर्वप्रथम तो दोनों हाथ जोड़कर
First of all, with both folded hands,
आप समझिए, ये चारों लड़कों को कोई फिलोसॉफी नहीं, कोई उपदेश नहीं, कोई प्रवचन, कोई कथा, कुछ नहीं, तुलसी की गंध सूंघ कर तुलसी की सुगंध से कितना परिवर्तन हो गया।
so merely with the fragrance of Tulsi entering into their nostrils, what a sea change transformation it brought to Sankadik. So they first of all apologized at the lotus feet of the Lord that they came here and hurled a curse at Jai Vijay and they should be forgiven.
दूसरी लाइन के लास्ट में सेकंड लास्ट शब्द क्या है?
The second last word in the second line is Kushla. Kushla means expert.
जो एक्सपर्ट लोग हैं,
So Sankate go on to say that those who are very intelligent in this world,
यपिते प्रसादम ते प्रसादम, आपकी कृपा से यदि उनको मुक्ति मिल जाए तो न अंतिकम, वो मुक्ति भी नहीं चाहते।
O Lord,
बुद्धिमान
that those who are intelligent in this world,
मुक्ति दोगे
if you offer them the freedom, the mukti, they would not desire that mukti.
तो ये बच्चे बोल रहे हैं, 5 साल के बच्चे हैं, भगवान कहते तो क्या
Imagine these are 5-year-old kids who are speaking to the Lord.
वो मुक्ति नहीं
So
चाहते,
imagine if Lord would ask, then what they would want.
न मांगे तो क्या मांगेंगे? ये अंग त्वद अंगरी शरणा भवतः कथाया। प्रभु आपके चरणों में ये जो तुलसी लगी
So
हुई है,
what would they then desire? Sankade goes on to say, O Lord, the tulsi at your lotus feet, which is decorating your feet,
सुनने वाले लोग उस तुलसी की तरह ही सुशोभित होते हैं, इसलिए कीर्तन तीर्थ यशस
so your devotees are
जो कुशल है
as much noticed as you are.
वो आपका कीर्तन करते हैं, वो आपकी कथा में
So
सराबोर।
those who are intelligent one, listen to your katha
भगवान
always.
को भी हुआ कि कोई बात नहीं, आप
Now because the Sankadik were quite young, Lord Vishnu developed some inclination and Lord said that whatever they desire they can ask from Vishnu. Now Sankadik went on to say,
प्रभु हमें कोई ऐसी, ये 4 बच्चे कहते हैं हमें कोई बहुत बड़ी कामना नहीं है, आप हमको
now
नरक में
Sankadik
भेज
said,
दो, मंजूर
O
है,
Lord,
क्योंकि हम
we don't have any desire.
ये नरक
You
में
please
जाके
send
अच्छा
us
काम किया है,
to hell,
आपके दरबार में
and
आए
we are deserving of that
विरोध करने
because we hurled a curse at your door
तो
to your
कथम
doorkeepers.
जिन्हें निरिये पिनोहस्ता, हम लोगों को आप नरक में डाल दो, नो
So
प्रॉब्लम।
Sankadik said, O Lord,
3 चीजों
may you
को
send
मांग लेना
us
प्रभु,
to
3
hell,
वस्तुओं
and we're not worried about it because we deserve that.
कर्म के
But,
अनुसार
O Lord,
नरक में चले जाए, लेकिन एक
we desire 3 things that
अली
are mind
अली
and
अली
heart.
माने भंवरा, अली माने भंवरा, भंवरा जैसे कमल में आसक्त होता है,
Just as a Bhavra
कभी
is
कभी संध्या
obsessed
के
with
समय
the
कमल बंद होने
lotus,
वाला होता है, लेकिन भंवरा उसमें इतना आसक्त होता है,
sometimes during the evening time, the lotus is about to get closed, but Bhavra is so engrossed in lotus, so obsessed with lotus,
नहीं करता,
that he risks
अपना
his
जीवन
life,
दांव पर लगाकर
but
अपनी
he
मौत को
stays
स्वीकार कर
closer
लेता
to
है,
the
लेकिन उस
lotus.
कमल को नहीं छोड़ता।
He never leaves
तो
the
इस श्लोक में
lotus.
यहाँ पर ये चतुष कुमार कहते हैं कि हमारा चित्त, भले हम लोग नरक में जाए, लेकिन
So
हमारा
Sankadik says,
भंवरे
even if you
जैसा
send us
आपके
to hell,
चरण कमलों
but
में
our mind and heart
प्रभु ऐसा आशीर्वाद
should always remain
और
concentrated
दूसरा,
in
और
your
तुलसी
service
दस
at your lotus feet.
देखो यहाँ पर भी तुलसी जी को याद किया गया, हमारी वाणी
And our
हमारी
speech
वाणी तुलसी की तरह तव
and our
अंगरी
speech,
शोभा, आपकी
just like
वाणी
Tulsi Maharani, must
हमारी वाणी
become a
तुलसी की तरह
decorative
आपके चरणों
piece
की
in
शोभा
your
पाए,
lotus feet.
आप ऐसा आशीर्वाद दीजिए।
Please bless us with
और
such
बोलिए
things.
ते गुण गणे यदि कर्ण रंध्र, और हमारे कान में
And
निरंतर आपके
our
गुणगान
ears
भरते रहें,
must always listen
हम कर्म के अनुसार
to your
भजन करते रहें,
qualities and great
लेकिन मन
works.
भंवरे की तरह आपके चरणों में लगा रहे, वाणी तुलसी की तरह आपके चरणों में
So our mind should be
सुशोभित रहे,
fixed in you,
और हमारे
just
कान
like
में
a
आपके
Bhavra.
गुणगान
And
सुनते
just
रहें।
like Tulsi Maharani, we may be placed
हमें ऐसा
at your
आशीर्वाद
lotus
दीजिए,
feet, and we must only listen to your
और अंत
glory
में
through our
प्रभु
ears. Please
हम
give us such a
बनना
boon.
नहीं चाहते हैं,
Now, O Lord,
हम
we
बच्चे
do
नहीं
not
बनने
want
वाले,
to
आप ऐसा आशीर्वाद दीजिए।
gain age, we
भगवान
just want to remain
प्रसन्न हुए,
kids.
तथास्तु कह दिया।
Lord
आज
was
ये
pleased,
चतुष
he
कुमार
said
कलयुग में
Tathastu.
इनका जन्म हुआ है,
And imagine
लेकिन आज भी
these
वो बच्चे
Chatush Kumar who were born in Satyuga are
बनकर
still
इन चतुष
5-year-old
कुमारों
kids.
को भगवान की प्राप्ति हुई।
and that these four Kumars attain the love of the Lord only because of Tulsi Maharani's fragrance.
तुलसी की गंध में ये ताकत है कि वो भगवान के चरणों में पैर लटका देती है.
You see, Tulsi Maharani has that power that she is able to present, exhibit the love towards the Lord.
छोटा सा ब्रेक लेंगे.
So let us take a short break and move further.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So thank you very much, Shuri, for this wonderful महिमा जो आप वृंदे देवी के हमें आस्वादन करा रहे हैं उसके लिए, और थैंक यू वेरी मच. आइए सीधे दर्शन करते हैं हमारे गौशाला की गौ माता के, और उसके पश्चात हम शेष सूचनाओं को बताएंगे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम. तो आज हमारे श्री राधा गोविंद गौशाला की जो दर्शन हमें प्राप्त हो रहे हैं, और विशेष हम धन्यवाद करते हैं हमारे इस शर्मा परिवार को, जिन्होंने यहाँ पर हमारे सत्यम प्रभु जी तथा माता जी के स्मरण में यहाँ पर एक सुंदर भागवत कथा का आयोजन किया तथा गौ सेवा का संकल्प किया. तो आज हम देख ही रहे हैं कि हम इस गौ सेवा के बदले में जो प्राप्त कर रहे हैं वास्तव में कितना अमूल्य है. तो सेवा का जो फल है वो यहाँ पर हमें मिल रहा है. दैट इज अगेन टू बी हियर कृष्ण कथा एंड अगेन टू बी एंगेज इन कृष्ण सेवा. So we are very grateful, Prabhuji, and our Sarma family especially for serving this wonderful cows. और आपको बता दें कि हमारा ये जो गौशाला का जो परिवार है दिन ब दिन इंक्रीज हो रहा है. सब निवेदन करेंगे सभी भक्तों से कि आप कृपया अपना सहयोग बनाए रखिएगा, ताकि और भी अधिक हम इस गौ सेवा में, इस गौ माता को यहाँ पर हमारे गौशाला में अकोमोडेट कर सके, उनको ला सके, उनकी सेवा कर सके, और इनकी सेवा के बदले में जो हम भागवत प्राप्त कर रहे हैं भागवत की सेवा कर सके तथा कृष्ण की कृपा को प्राप्त कर सके. So as we all know that Krishna's beloved cow, जो हम गाय माता हैं, भगवान के अत्यंत प्रिय है, और विशेष उन गौ माता की सेवा हम यहाँ पर करते हैं जो कि स्पेशली अबैंडन है ना, जो दूध ना देने के कारण उन्होंने उनको त्याग दिया है, जो कहीं आवारा रास्तों पर भटक कर प्लास्टिक खा रही थी. तो ऐसी गायों को हमने यहाँ पर पिछले 1.5-2 सालों से अकोमोडेट किया है, और आज आप सब वैष्णव की कृपा है, सहयोग है, जिसके फलस्वरूप यहाँ पर ये जो परिवार है विस्तृत होता जा रहा है. और विशेष ये जो हमारी सारी गौ माताएं हैं आज इतनी स्वस्थ हो चुकी हैं, और हम प्रयास यही कर रहे हैं कि आने वाले दिन यहाँ पर दिन ब दिन लाते रहें, ताकि संसार में ये जो जैसे प्रभुपाद ने कहा है, जब तक इस धरती पर गौ माता का खून या गौ माता को काटा जाता है, तब तक ये जो सुख की कामना है या फिर राम राज्य की जो कामना है, that is next to impossible. So our aim is that we try our level best to give each and every single cow protection, to bring give them the जो चीज गौ माता हमें दे रही है, हालांकि उनके बदले में हमें उन्हें कुछ नहीं दे पा रहे हैं. जैसे कि हम जानते हैं कि गाय माता एक ऐसे प्राणी है जो हमें ऑक्सीजन प्रदान करती है, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को लेकर ऑक्सीजन को प्रदान करती है, और साथ ही साथ अपने जीवन काल में एक गौ माता है वो कम से कम 5 लाख भक्तों को, 5 लाख जीवों को वो दूध प्रदान करती है या पौष्टिक आहार प्रदान करती है. तो when someone cuts, जब कोई व्यक्ति जब कसाई घार में इस गौ माता को काटते हैं, तो वो केवल कुछ ही जीवों का भोजन बनती है, जो कि उनको नर्क में लेके जाएगा. परंतु यदि हम इसी गौ माता की सेवा करते हैं तो एक गौ माता करीबन हजारों भक्तों को, हजारों जीवों को अपने जीवन काल में वो आहार प्रदान करती है, अन्न प्रदान करती है. तो वी कैन सी द बेनिफिट ऑफ टेकिंग केयर ऑफ काउस. तो आप सबसे यही निवेदन है कि हम सब मिलकर श्रील प्रभुपाद का ये जो हाफ मिशन which he left for us, हम उसको पूरा करें। और जो भागवत प्रचार है वो हो रहा है, परंतु अब जो शेष सेवा है वो है गौ सेवा, जिसकी बहुत ही अधिक आवश्यकता है, क्योंकि प्राय हमारे इस भौतिक समाज में इतनी प्राधान्यता नहीं दी जाती है। ये हमें इस्कॉन में ही केवल इसको एजुकेट किया जाता है, गाय की इम्पोर्टेंस और महत्व को बताया जाता है, जिससे कि हम सब गौ सेवा करें, जिससे कि भगवान प्रसन्न हो। So we are requesting you as well that those who are still unaware of, serving cows are please requested to kindly come forward and help us to bring more and more cows and serve more and more cows. और बहुत ही सुंदर यहाँ पर हम गाय की सेवा करके भागवत को प्राप्त कर रहे हैं। इससे अधिक और क्या कह सके हम सब मिलकर यहाँ पर गौ सेवा कर रहे हैं, और गौ सेवा का जो फल हमें प्राप्त हो रहा है वो भागवत मिल रहा है। तो ये अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी बात है। तो हम सबका बड़ा सौभाग्य है कि यहाँ पर हम प्रतिदिन भागवत श्रवण कर रहे हैं, साथ ही साथ वैष्णव सेवा, गौ सेवा और अनेक सारी सेवाओं में हमें प्रभु जी कथा के माध्यम से एंगेज कराते हैं, हमारे मन को विशेष एंगेज करते हैं। तो वी आर वेरी ग्रेटफुल प्रभु जी।
इसलिए मैं किसी को टारगेट करके नहीं कह रहा हूँ, केशव बुरा मत लगाना, लेकिन यहाँ पर पॉइंट आया इसलिए कह दूं, देखो हमें मनुष्य जीवन मिला है, तो मनुष्य जीवन मिला है तो विवाह करना चाहिए, और यदि विवाह नहीं करना है तो दूसरा एक ही ऑप्शन है पंकज, वासुदेव परायणा। दूसरा एक ही ऑप्शन है कि देखो हमें मनुष्य जीवन मिला है, तो मनुष्य जीवन मिला है तो विवाह करना चाहिए, और यदि विवाह नहीं करना है तो दूसरा एक ही ऑप्शन है पंकज, वासुदेव परायणा। दूसरा एक ही ऑप्शन है कि वासुदेव परायण रहना है। अब देखो बात पॉइंट आई, इसलिए मैं किसी को टारगेट करके नहीं कह रहा हूँ, केशव बुरा मत लगाना, लेकिन यहाँ पर पॉइंट आया इसलिए कह दूं, देखो हमें मनुष्य जीवन मिला है, तो मनुष्य जीवन मिला है तो विवाह करना चाहिए, और यदि विवाह नहीं करना है तो दूसरा एक ही ऑप्शन है पंकज, वासुदेव परायणा। दूसरा एक ही ऑप्शन है कि वासुदेव परायण हो जाओ।
in this platform जिनकी अलग अलग सेवाओं में रुचि है, तो यहाँ पर हम भी प्रयास करते हैं कि जिस भक्त की जिस प्रकार रुचि है वो उस प्रकार की सेवा में लगे और कृष्ण भक्ति में अग्रसर हो। तो here we have a wonderful opportunity that again like last year we did Bhagavad Gita marathon, जिसमें हमने अनेक भगवत गीताओं का वितरण किया था, हजारों भगवत गीताओं का, आप सब भक्तों के सहयोग से। तो पुनः ऐसा सुंदर अवसर है कि आने वाली जो 14 दिसंबर है, आई गेस दैट इज द गीता जयंती डे, like last year, same year we are going to distribute this Bhagavad Gita amongst the devotees, amongst the orphanage, जो orphan school है और prisons है और all those needies, उनके बीच में इस भगवद गीता का वितरण करने का हमने संकल्प किया है। तो आप सबसे भी अनुरोध है कि आप भी हमारे साथ में इस मैराथन में जुड़िए और भगवान की इस कृपा का लाभ प्राप्त कीजिए, और श्रील प्रभुपाद की ये जो प्रिय है ना सेवा है उसमें हम सब जुड़े और भगवान की प्रिय बने। तो आप सबसे अनुरोध है कि इस भगवद गीता मैराथन में आप अवश्य जुड़े, गीता वितरण कीजिए, आप अपने मित्र स्नेहीजनों को भगवद गीता प्रदान कराइए, और आप सबके बिहाफ में हम भी यहाँ पर बहुत सुंदर व्यवस्था कर रहे हैं जिससे कि हम इन स्थानों पर जाकर भगवद गीता को वितरण करेंगे। और स्पेशली प्रभु जी इज ऑल्सो कमिंग टू इंडिया अगेन, तो उनके द्वारा आप सबके द्वारा जो स्पॉन्सर की गई गीता है हम उसको बांटेंगे। तो आप सबसे अनुरोध है कि आप इसमें जरूर सहयोग करें, और इसके लिए आप हमें अप्रोच कर सकते हैं 7567545555 पर, एंड देन +20121509113 इन नंबर के माध्यम से आप हमें अप्रोच कर सकते हैं, वेयर हम सब आप सबके बिहाफ में इस भगवद गीता का वितरण करेंगे और भगवान की इस कृपा को प्राप्त करेंगे। सो थैंक यू वेरी मच वंस अगेन, और आइए हम श्रवण करते हैं शेष कथा को प्रभु जी के मुखारविंद से। हरे कृष्ण।
ગરખ મારું ગોપી ચંદન અને તુલસી હે મનોહાર, સાચું નાણું મારો શામળો, હે માને દોલત માં જાંજને પખાર રે, શામળા ગીરધારી, હે મારી હુંડી સ્વીકારો મહારાજ રે, શામળા ગીરધારી। जूनागढ़ ने बहुत सुंदर भजन गाया है और उनमें वे कहते हैं कि गरख मारू गोपी चंदन ने तुलसी है।
Junagadh has given wonderful bhajans, and in one of the bhajans it is said that for me, the real ornament for me, the real jewelry for me is the mala of Tulsi. It is like a gold jewelry for me. And this is true in fact. You might wear different diamonds and rubies, but the grace that you will get out of Tulsi Mala is nowhere comparable to any jewelry. You know, the tilak that we wear, the yew and the Tulsi leaf, so there are two modes to it. Number one, the yew that we have on our forehead is the lotus feet of Vishnu, and Tulsi ji always resides, always at the lotus feet of the Lord, and that's how we, you see, place the leaf of Tulsi. But saints of Brij have given this beautiful explanation also further, that the two lines of the tilak, one line is Radha and the other being Krishna, and that there is a gap between the two, so that they have been parted. Now who shall unite Radha and Krishna? And that this task is endowed to Tulsi Maharani. So this Tulsi basically unites the two lines, unites Radha and Krishna. So the work of uniting Sri Radha and Krishna has been endowed to Tulsi Maharani. So Sankadik, merely by the fragrance of Tulsi Maharani, attained the love of the Lord. Now, in another instance, in the 10th canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam, let us get into that pastime of the 10th canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna was almost around 5-7 years of age. As he got up early in the morning, everyone was busy. Everybody was busy in their own tasks. And then he observed that meals were being prepared. And Lord Krishna asked, what is it that's going on? Nan Baba said that they are very busy and they should not be disturbed. But upon insistence of Sri Krishna, Nand ji replied that because we are Gopal and we are dependent upon the products of the cow, and the cow stays and dependent upon grass, and grass would happen only because Indraji would give bountiful of rains. So we are preparing meals for Indra to give bountiful of rains. Now Shri Krishna might have wondered that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is sitting in the house and you're offering meals to somebody else, and he did not like this. So perhaps Krishna would have thought that Krishna consciousness preaching should actually start from the home, and then you know the entire story. So Lord Krishna said that there is no need to worship Indra. If it is written in our fate, we would get our own share of rains. Then Brijvasis asked, who should be worshipped instead of Indra? Then Lord Krishna said, worship Govardhan. He is Bhagavad Swarup. Govardhan has the potency to fulfill all desires. You have been worshipping Indra for so many years. He never came, he never gave you any boon, he never appeared before you. Worship once Govardhan. Govardhan would appear, he would take the meals, he would laugh, and he would also give you boon. All the Brijvasis accepted to what Krishna said. Now Brijvasis asked, how do we worship Govardhan? So Krishna said that whatever you have prepared for Indra, offer it to Govardhan. So in a way, Krishna took away all the vote bank of Indra towards Govardhan. All the Brijvasis in their bullock carts carried all the meals towards Govardhan. And they offered wonderful meals to Govardhan. Now, who would offer the meals to Govardhan? Again, Sri Krishna is sitting. Girirajji appeared and started having the offerings of the Brijvasis. Now, the point to be noted here is Govardhan was so hungry because he was being offered for the first time. He went on to eat on, and within some time, he went on to ask more and more, more, or, and again Brijvasis served him. And Govardhanji went on to consume that as well. And Govardhanji asked, demanded more and more. Now Brijvasis got nervous because if you invite a sadhu or a saint, and if you're not able to serve him properly, then the sadhu can hurl a curse. And the Brijvasis were already aware of the curse of Durvasaji. Now all the Brijvasis went to Krishna. Govardhan, whom you have asked us to worship, seems to be such a hungry person. He has eaten up everything and still he is demanding more. If you don't do something, we will be hurled a curse. So Govardhanji was having his share of meal almost, and this was the last share of meal presented to him. So now Krishna went to Tulsi Maharani, plucked a leaf of Tulsi. And now Giraji was having the meals, and Sri Krishna kept the Tulsi leaf in the hand of Giraji, and he even consumed the Tulsi leaf. And the moment he did so, Giraji felt all satiated and he burped. So that gave the feeling to Giraji that he is all full. So a mishappening was avoided only by the mercy of Shri Tulsi Maharani. In Shrimad Bhagavatam, at numerous instances, we have got the glory of Tulsi Maharani. If we are drowning in the ocean, and as we were drowning, if we get to have the support of a wooden log, we would be able to cross the ocean. And if we are all drowning in this material world, and if we take refuge to Tulsi Maharani, we would be able to cross this ocean. The mala that we wear of Tulsi in the neck, Srila Prabhupada says those who are initiated should wear 3 rounds. those who are not initiated should be a 1 or 2 rounds. But there have been many saints in a tradition who wear thousands rounds of Tulsi Kanti. And we had one great saint in the name of Ras Khan in Rij Vrindavan. Even though he was born in a Muslim family, but he was a great devotee to Lord Krishna. Through his writings, when we go through his writings, we get to understand the great degree of devotion he had towards Krishna. He used to wear almost 200 rounds of Tulsi Kanti in his neck. And wherever he would went, people would convert towards Hinduism. Once he was made to stand in the Muslim court, and he was questioned that, why have you taken to Hinduism instead of Quran? That Muslim king said, where is the shortcoming and shortfall in Islam that you have forgotten about it? You have given up all your honor and dignity in Islam, and that you have taken to Hinduism. At this, Raskanji said that my heart had become a recluse the moment I heard the flute of Radha Shamsundar. The moment I heard the Katha of Radha Shamsundar, my mind and heart has become recluse. The king further asked that, okay, I understand, but the devotees of Krishna wear 1, 2, or 3 rounds, but you're wearing 200 rounds of mala in your neck. Why is it so? Then Raskanji replied to the king, this heart and mind is just like a dog. You see, the situation of dogs is very, very finely placed in America. But in India, it is really pathetic.
तो मन कुत्ता दर दर फिरे तर तर तुर तुर होए मन रूपी कुत्ता जहां जाता है भगाते हैं भागो यहां से चिल्लाते हैं पत्थर मारते हैं
the heart-formed dog goes on to run here and there and being hushed by everyone and hurl stones at. But if the same dog, if gets to belong to a owner, and that owner, if puts a band around the neck of the dog, then nobody can dare to hurl a stone at the dog because he has now come to belong to a owner. Similarly, the mind which is just like a dog, the heart which is just like a dog, which goes on to wander here and there, but the moment we wear Tulsi Mala, we start belonging to the Lord, and nobody can then defeat us. No illusory power can defeat us. The Muslim emperor further asked, okay, I understand that there is a glory to this mala, but again, why 200 rounds? Raskhandi said that these Hindu brethren of ours are very, very pure devotees. And if they wear 2 or 3 rounds, they would be able to attain the Lord. But, oh, my Lord, I have been engaged in sinning for numerous births. You see, in an ocean, for example, if there is some lightweight entity, then a small boat would suffice. But if you have huge, heavy objects, for that you need a big ship and a big boat. So, oh my Lord, my sins have been accumulated over numerous births, and they're huge in quantity. So, in order to carry the sins of mine, I need a big ship, and therefore I need huge rounds of Tulsi Mala.
यत कंठे तुलसी नास्ती ते नर मुढ़ मानसा, जिस आदमी के कंठ में तुलसी नहीं है,
The one who does not wear a tulsi mala around their neck, that person is a fool.
समान अन्नम जलम च मदिरा समम, बिना कंठी के हम अन्न खाए तो वह पशु के मल के समान है।
If we consume meal without
जल पिए तो वो
a
मदिरा,
tulsi kanthi, then it is like the stool of animals. And if we drink water without wearing tulsi mala, then it is just like the urine of animals. And it is just like intoxicants and alcohols. So I extend thanks to each one of you for your patience to be a part of this katha. With this, I bring a close to the fourth day katha of this 316th Bhagavatam. I extend my thanks to Madhvi Mata, Shamanand Prabhu, their kids, his brother Dinesh Bhai,
और भगवान से विशेष प्रार्थना करते हुए
and I make a special prayer for Satyam Sharma and Archa Shuri Mataji.
ऐसी भावना के साथ आज
Hare Krishna,
के सत्र को
Radhe Shyam.
जय जयकार के साथ ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम महापुराण की, श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की।